Welcome to a new era. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne for the first round of the GP4 Offline Championship 2021 season, but also known as the Fantasy Era. So we're here with new cars, new teams, new drivers. Still the same me, however, it is George, the OC commentator, and of course we're here at the Melbourne Park Street Circuit, Albert Park. We were originally going to use the current Albert Park circuit in real life, but due to problems in testing we're using the old Melbourne layout, but it still should be a pretty entertaining race. Previous 5 winners there were on the screen. The tyres we'll be using for this race will be the soft tyres, and we're about to take a look at the practice results for the Australian Grand Prix. And on your screen right now, as you can see, it's a bit of a surprise. Chris Chatfield top ahead of Jesus Perronin for Renault, with Carr, Willows, De Rossa, Gamba, Byrne, Videri, Lopez and Chung completing the top 10. Now Lamborghini were quite quick actually in pre-season testing, and they've been shown to be quite quick here. They're very competitive, although I suppose it's only Chung at the moment in the top 10. That was practice, however. The starting grid is certainly something to behold. And on the front row, it is Rahul Patel for Lamborghini, with Evan Byrne alongside him, just 17,000 separating those two, and just 57,000 separating George Roeg in third place, with Chris Chatfield alongside him. On row 3 of the group, we have Jesus Perronin for Renault, and Jake Galloway for Ferrari. Row 4 we have Franco Gamba for Red Bull and Kirospa De Rossa for McLaren. Row 5 Armor Carr for Mercedes and Joseph Wills 10th for McLaren. Very poor qualifying from Mercedes. On row 6 of the grid we have Laura Chung for Lamborghini and Andrea Federi for Alfa Romeo. Row 7 Franco Lopez, very disappointing qualifying from him, with Daniel Fraser alongside him. Row 8 we have Emilia Wilson for Haas and Julius Anderson for Aston Martin, who sadly looked very slow throughout testing and during qualifying. On row 9 of the grid we have Romain Quag for Alfa Romeo and Miklas Gal for AlphaTauri. Row 10 of the grid we have David Cooper for AlphaTauri and Jamie Griffiths for Williams. And on the last of the grid we have Felix Sonta 21st for Williams and Roland Moitin 22nd for Aston Martin. So as you can see, qualifying already a bit different. This new era is already going to be great. Now here is the weather for the Australian Grand Prix. It is going to be a wet one. 63% chance of rain, high cloud. It's going to get lighter as the race goes on. It's going to be heavy to start off with, but as we go later on in the race it will get lighter, so I don't know if it will be enough for dry tyres. That will be interesting to see, but I am very much looking forward to what this first race beholds, with a Lamborghini on pole position and Evan Byrne alongside him. Could Rahul Patel do the unthinkable and win for Lamborghini in his first race? I would love to see that. And we are on the grid, 58 laps here at the Albert Park Street Circuit. The 5 lights are about to come on. The fantasy era is about to begin. We now have 5 lights that are about to come on. They are now on, and the 5 lights are about to go out, and they go out now. And who's going to get the jump into the first corner? It looks like Patel has made a decent start. Byrne alongside him has not made, I don't think, a particularly great launch. And the Red Bull of Roke behind is going to try and make a move on the inside. He's just about to try to squeeze through past Byrne. And Roke does launch it up the inside and takes the lead into the first corner. What a start by George Roke in the Red Bull. Patel is still second. Third is Byrne. Fourth is Jesus Perronin behind, as the rest of the field slots its way through. But what a start by George Roker. He's already left Patel in the dust. And meanwhile, there's a battle behind. It's Franco Gamba trying to get past Jesus Perronin in the Renault as they're coming on the inside, heading up towards turn 3. Gamba on the inside. Does he make it stick? And the answer is yes, he does. Makes it clean. And meanwhile, Galloway trying to make a move through as well. And oh, it's chaos already. Lopez has been spun around. What a start. He's being pushed by the Alfa Romeo there. And what on earth is happening here? And Lopez, what a terrible start for the reigning world champion. And he spins, and now he's going to try and rejoin the circuit. And he now gets on the grass and is appearing to do some donuts, which is, I think, just showing off the fact that he won the title last year. But he needs to get back to the race. There's also debris there, as you can see, so some cars are going to have to pit. And it looks like there's a few cars involved. Felix Sontag, I think, was one of them. Laura Chung is another, so she has lost, I think, both her front and rear wing. So we're about to find out what happened here. So we're looking on board with Laura Chung coming up towards turn 3. And so we're looking on board with her, and obviously Lopez actually made contact with the car in front of him, right in front of Chung, who unfortunately had nowhere to go. Meanwhile, we're looking on board for Romain Quag, looking at his start, heading up towards the first corner, and we'll see if he got damage at the first. Oh, he got hit from behind, and then he went into the Haas in front of him. Now we're looking from the point of view of Felix Sontag, and he must have been the one that went into Quag, who then went in towards the Haas, and yes, that's a rear wing loss for that car. So Sontag, looking through, he made an okay launch, nearly gets hit there by Griffiths, and or nearly goes into the grids, but then he goes, as you can see, in towards the AlphaTauri. So no, he was the one who hit the AlphaTauri, and that's why that car is missing a rear wing. So this is the onboard from Lopez. So he was behind Joseph Willis in the McLaren, just got a bit too close for comfort. Willis just coming in front of Lopez there, and spinning, and Chung had nowhere to go, unfortunately. And then, of course, Lopez got hit a few times by the Alfa Romeo, but fortunately no harm done. So this is the start from Roki. Made a very good launch, got a much better launch than Evan Byrne. Just got so much momentum and got the slipstream off of Patel, and just saw the gap and went for it into the first corner. So that is the perfect start for Red Bull. Of course, it was still a shock that Patel even got pole position, but this is the onboard from Jake Galloway, who is running at 8, but mainly looks like a double overtake on the inside, and he does, moves up to P6, and so now we're looking on board with Frank Gabby, who's on the back of Evan Byrne. This is for 3rd position. Roke setting the fastest lap, and he has already gone in the distance. Patel just a little bit in front of Gamba and Byrne, but Gamba now makes it up into P3 past the Irishman, and now he'll go after Patel, and it could be a Red Bull 1-2. Meanwhile, Perrin in behind, and Jake Galloway as well. Now you can see Roke taking another fastest lap, but now Gamba already passing Rahul Patel as they head towards the first corner. Meanwhile, Perrin trying to pass Evan Byrne for P4 behind, and does he do it? And the answer is yes. So a great start from Jesus Perrin as well. Meanwhile, the two Ferraris of Chris Chatfield and Jake Galloway are battling for 6th position, with De Rossa behind looking to make a move. They're side by side heading up towards the 3rd corner, and they're not now as De Rossa makes his way through. Meanwhile, Carr trying to make his way through on the inside. And does he make it through? And the answer is yes, I think just about without contact. Does he get past the McLaren? He's going to keep it around the outside here, and he will move up into 7th position. So a good move there by Amar Carr. Meanwhile, looking on board from Chris Chafford, this was him battling Jake Galloway. So this was the view between them into the first corner, and Galloway really defending hard. There was actually a bit of contact you can see on the back of Galloway there, but that gave a chance for De Rossa and Carr behind. And Carr took full advantage of that. He managing to get past De Rossa. We're looking at the onboard, so he managed to get past the Ferrari, and then he even got past De Rossa, so he gained the most out of all of that. So he took a good advantage there, moved up a couple of positions. Of course, Mercedes didn't have a good qualifying, and for Lopez, it's already been a disastrous start. He's now right at the back. Meanwhile, this is the battle of a third. This is Patel, who's being overtaken by the Renault here of Jesus Perrin for 3rd position. Perrin on the inside, and he takes 3rd place away. Meanwhile, ooh, that was close. Chatfield making a move up the inside of Byrne there, nearly going into Patel. And now Chatfield going after Patel, who seemingly just has no pace at this point in time, although Chatfield does have a light fuel load, so that probably explains why he's so fast. But Patel really struggling, and his fuel is not too excessive, but he just seemingly has no pace at this moment in time. But at the moment, as I said, out front is a Red Bull 1-2. At this moment in time, Roke first and Gamba in second, as the cars head up towards turn 3. And just was the moment the last car in the top 10, with David Kupok in the AlphaTauri just behind Roke at the moment leading this race. But it might not be for long though, because Gamba has closed up on him, and this is the battle for the leads. They head towards the first corner. Gamba going to take, looks like, 1st position away from his teammate Roke, who doesn't put much for defence, and Gamba does take the lead away from George Roke. But what a start it has been so far for the Red Bulls. They are well clear of Jesus Perrin in 3rd. Meanwhile, this is Carr, who's overtaking Byrne, who himself is seemingly struggling as well. Both front row starters, Patel and Byrne, really not having a good start to this race. And again, Byrne doesn't have an excessive fuel load particularly. Meanwhile, this is Chatfield, who's trying to go past Perrin for 3rd place here, and he's on the inside. They head towards the first corner, and he does make it stick. So a Red Bull 1-2, Ferrari 3rd, Renault 4th, although Perrin might try and get the position back to head towards turn 3. He's in the slipstream. Will he try and go for it on the inside? And the answer is no, he doesn't. Meanwhile, Patel now under pressure from Amar Carr in the Mercedes behind, as they're heading up through turns 1-2, now heading towards turn 3. Carr going to make a move on the inside, it looks like. Patel is defending, and Carr trying to squeeze his way through on the inside, but Patel defends hard. So it's not going to happen this time round. Meanwhile, De Rossa, I think, has just got past Byrne, and Jake Galloway behind as well, trying to make a move. But Byrne, again, really struggling, as we're looking at Moitian in the Aston Martin, who's trying to get past Federi in the Alfa Romeo there. This is the battle for 15th place, and it's not going to happen there. Meanwhile, we're looking at Evan Byrne, who's made a mistake. He's on the grass, and Byrne has spun off the circuit there. That's a very, very silly error there from Evan Byrne, and he is going to lose a ton of positions. And you can see, look at all the cars going past him. He's now down to, 16th position, and he's now going to rejoin the circuit, and he does rejoin, just in front there of Franco Lopez. So he now, in fact, dropped behind Lopez. But this was Byrne, who was defending from Galloway behind. Just got it all wrong. Very, very wrong. And has lost. He's out of the points, and he's now down to the back half of the field. This was Lopez, who was seeing Byrne rejoin the track then, and he had to take a bit of avoiding action there to get around him. Meanwhile, Chris Chatfield, who has been very quick at the start of this race, now goes into the pits for his first stop of the race, and the first stop of the, or first proper stop of the fantasy era. So it looks like, I mean, the weather, as we saw, it was going to get lighter as the race went on, because there are two different sets of wet tyres. Meanwhile, this is Amar Khan, who's going past Patel for 5th position. That is a good move. He's stuck behind Patel for a few laps, but he eventually did make his stickers. Meanwhile, Galloway trying to get past De Rossa in the McLaren. It's not going to work there. Meanwhile, Joseph Willows is there as well, looking to make a move. And meanwhile, Jamie Griffiths going past David Kupok there for 9th position. So Griffiths making a good start. And oh, that was why, actually. A bit of contact there. And Kupok so nearly went into the back of Willows there, but fortunately no harm done. Now, meanwhile, we're looking at the Ferrari here. Looking on the back of De Rossa. This is Galloway trying, and there's a little bit of contact there, but no harm done. And now we're looking at Willows, who's trying to get past Galloway as well, but can't do it. But he's got Jamie Griffiths there looking to make a move as well. Meanwhile, Franco Lopez coming in for his first stop of the race. And actually, interestingly, he had he had a lot of fuel still left in his car, so it's changed the other set of wet tyres. And meanwhile, we're looking at Perrin, who seems actually to be closing onto the back of George Roque in the Red Bull here. So maybe Roque has already gone through his tyres at the start. We're looking at Julius Anderson, and meanwhile Chatfield trying to get through the traffic here, going past Amelia Wilson in the Haas. Personally, one of my favourite looking cars of the season. Meanwhile, we're looking at De Rossa, who is behind Patel, but has got Galloway behind him as well. And of course, as I will remind you once again, we're racing on the old layout. Meanwhile, I think Willis did an absolute dive from there on the back of Galloway there from a long way back. And he managed to make the move stick. Look at this. So, as we look up, look how far Willows was back. My word, that was a dive bomb and a half. Managed to do it absolutely perfectly. Move up another position there. I bet Galloway wasn't expecting that. Kind of got a bit mugged there. Got done by Willows. And meanwhile, Gamma, just for the gap, 14 seconds. 14 seconds. I mean, he passed him on, what, lap 5, I think it was, or lap 6? And already got 14 seconds in 8 laps. So, Roque's tyres clearly have gone. Meanwhile, Galloway now repassing Willows for 7th position there. So good overtake, but Willows will try and hope to get that position back. Meanwhile, Chatfield on the back of Julius Anderson in the Aston Martin. And we noticed actually just in the last frame that there was a bit of a traffic jam as they're coming up. And actually Anderson managed to overtake a late move there on Chatfield coming into the penultimate corner there. Good job there by the Swedish driver. And then this is Chatfield who's trying to get back past Anderson. He's going to go on the inside. Has he got the run through? I believe he has, and he does make it through past Anderson. And Anderson has to defend from the Haas behind him. And meanwhile, there's a car just going to the pits there. That is David Kupok. And I don't want to see if it is a scheduled stop, and it is a scheduled stop for both Kupok and I think Anderson, who went in as well. Patel, meanwhile, look at this. Look at this. This is the battle for second position. This is Jesus Perrin, who is already on the back of George Roque. That is the battle for second. So Roque really struggling on those tyres. Meanwhile, we're looking at the battle between the two McLarens as they're coming at the end of the straight, and just look at where's on the inside. Oh, he makes contact with De Rossa, and he spins his teammate around. Would you believe it? And the two McLarens have come together in the first race of the fantasy era, and you can see all the cars coming through. They're so close. Unfortunately, no damage has been done. They all know he's there. The marshal waving his flag. As all the cars coming through, De Rossa dare not move until it's clear. He now goes for it, but unfortunately into the wall, and that is De Rossa out of the race. And I believe that is actually the first retirement of the season as well. So, but Joseph Willows, who was actually going into the pit on this lap as well, makes contact with De Rossa and, well, essentially takes him out of the race. And that is not the start that McLaren would have wanted at all. And the incident between De Rossa and Willows has been concluded to be a racing incident, which, I mean, I guess that's fair enough, but still, De Rossa will not be happy at the fact that he has been taken out in that way. Burned down to 12th. I believe he's made a stop, actually. We're looking at Wilson, who's trying to go past Kari. Haas versus Mercedes. Wilson going to go for it on the inside here. Can she do it? And the answer is no. Meanwhile, the gap, Gamma to Roque, 17 seconds. Perrin has not got past Roque yet, even though he caught up to him a couple of laps ago. Still not able to get past the drivers. Willows, I think, was just overtaken there. I believe that was by, I think it was Kupok. And we were looking at Anderson, who's also himself trying to get past Willows, and he locks up a bit and gets a little bit out of shape, but manages to keep the car on the road. Now, meanwhile, this is the battle for second place position between Roque and Julius Perrin And Perrin on the inside. Roke doesn't really put up any defence. And Perrin in his first OC race takes second position away from George Roke. And, I mean, the gap to Gamba is pretty significant. So, could he go after Gamba? Perrin, I mean, you never know. Again, Roke doesn't have too much. It doesn't have particularly a heavy fuel load. But Patel, as you can see, is still kind of going along. Chatfield already back up to P5 now. And he looks set to be on the 3-stop strategy. Which, I mean, I think in the wets is a viable strategy. Because you need fresh tyres in wet conditions more than anything are vitally important. Now, meanwhile, we're looking at Lopez, who's on the back of another car. We're looking at Federi, who's on the back of Wilson. As they're going into turn 3, Federi is going to look on the inside. And, oh, he's made contact! And he's made contact with Wilson, and Wilson is out. Meanwhile, Lopez, I think, has overtaken the Aston Martin of Moisin behind him. But Amelia Wilson out after contact with Andrea Federi there. And, oh dear, and that is the second retirement of the race, and that is not something that Amelia Wilson would have liked. So you can see the onboard once again. So Federi tried to make a move on the inside of Wilson, and there we go. There was the contact. It was just inevitable that was going to happen. And Federi, who has had a fair bit of fuel in, is going to have to pit for a new front wing. And the incident concluded to be a racing incident. So Stewart's feeling very very lenient today, I guess you could say. Meanwhile, Chatfield already passing Patel before they've even got to the first corner. That's how much better the fresh tyres are in the wet conditions. But Patel, again, who's struggling, just had no pace, really. I mean, the fact that he got pole, could it really have been a fluke? But looking at Omar, who's behind the Lamborghini of Patel, and Patel could be losing another position as they head towards turn 3, but no, Car decides not to go for it on the inside. And now we're looking see Federi there actually into the pits, obviously to change his front wing. Kupok, who is taking an unusual line, although he's defending from Julius Addison. They make a little bit of contact there, but meanwhile Jake Galloway is just coming to the pits in P14. Evan Byrne, who is, I mean, I don't know what's happened to him, really fallen away in this race. Meanwhile, Frank Gamba, who is steamrolled away at the front, now coming in for his first pit stop of the race. And I mean, he took the lead from Roke at the start, and I think Roke must have used up all his tyres at the beginning, because Gamba has just left him for dust, and looks to be no stopping him at the moment. So he changes tyres, fuel-wise,
No pressure.
puts in, it looks like it is going to be, well, it's going to be a 2-stop, that is for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's either a 2 or 3 stop. In a 1 stop here at Albert Park is definitely not the viable strategy. Meanwhile, Perrin is in, and so is Roke. Actually comes in on the same lap. So we pits up and see if Roke could possibly even get ahead of Perrin. Oh, but no. In fact, I forgot, because both Red Bulls are coming on the same lap. So Roke could be held up in his pit stop here. So it's a disaster for Red Bull here. Great news for Frank Gamba, but not good news for George. He is going to be very, very unhappy at what has happened. The team have not been ready for them. Perrin, you can see, has already gone. Although the stop actually didn't seem to be too badly affected, but he's lost ground to Perrin nonetheless. And Roke is not going to be very happy with that. So Perrin comes out, I think he'll come out still ahead of Chris Chatfield. Chatfield will jump Roke though for sure. And as he's just gone past there, as you can see, he's dropped out to 4th. And there is Chatfield. So Perrin does stay in front of Chris Chatfield crucially. But of course, Chatfield is on a 3-stop. Carl at the moment is 5th. Patel is 6th, although he hasn't stopped yet. Griffiths at the moment is doing a solid job in 8th position right now in the Williams, and he's going to be pitting in a few laps' time. But at the moment, it's Gamba still nearly a pit stop ahead of Perrin. After that, it's going all his way at this moment in time. As meanwhile, Galloway in this battle between Anderson, as Galloway has a slight lock up there, trying to stop the car into the first corner, goes a little bit wide as Anderson goes past Kupok in front of him. So as they head out of turn 1 and 2, heading towards turn 3. And so is Kupok going to try and have a go back at Anderson? He's going to look and have a go, and there's contact between the two. And Kupok got on the inside. They make another little bit of contact there as well, but he can't make his way back through. And Julius Anderson keeps the position there. Meanwhile, we're looking at Franco Lopez, who's on the back of Rahul Patel, who, look at the speed that Lopez has got through that final corner. Patel has just got absolutely nothing left, and he's going to be pitting in a few laps. But the tyres are well and truly gone for Rahul Patel, and he really needs to pit ASAP if he wants to even somehow get a decent points finish at this race. I think a podium is already out of the question. And Laura Chung, who despite having pitted for a new front wing, is behind Patel. I mean, can you imagine that? That is unbelievable. So that is how badly the pace is for Patel, although it is his tyres in these conditions. But fresh tyres in wet conditions are vital. As meanwhile Anderson battling with his teammate Roland Moichin and the Aston Martin in front of him there. Need to be careful that they don't make contact, and they avoid it for now. Now we're looking at Laura Chung, who has just zoomed past Rahul Patel on the front straight there. That proves how much grip the fresh wet tyres are. Patel is just dropping positions like a stone here, and it's not going to get much better for him until he pits. Then maybe he might be able to actually show some pace, but he's already lost so much time. As meanwhile Anderson gets a better run off the final corner and is going to go past his teammate Moichin, heading towards the first corner, and he's already passed, and Moichin could be under pressure as well from David Cooper. Meanwhile Quag battling with the Renault of Evan Byrne, who has somehow fallen so far down the field. I don't know what on earth happened to him. He's had an even bigger fall than Patel. I've kind of forgotten about that. Meanwhile Roke in the Red Bull going past Chris Chatfield for third position, which he does into the first corner. So fresh tyres working well on that Red Bull. So can he now go after Jesus Perronin in front of him? Meanwhile Willows now on the back of Rahul Patel in front of him as they're heading up, as we're looking at Patel now finally coming in for his first pit stop, and it has been a real struggle so far in this race for Rahul Patel, and finally he can get off those wets. He must be running on absolute rims right now, and now he can finally put some fresh wets on and go for it. Maybe he can even go for the fastest lap, who knows. But yeah, we are going to see what Patel is capable of on fresh tyres. Well, we know what he was capable of in qualifying, hence he got pole position, so we know what he is capable of, but unfortunately the strategy for him has not been optimal. So he now comes out of the pits, and so we're looking now at Kupok, who is behind Julius Anderson, who's trying to overtake, I believe it's the Williams in front of him. Kupok going to have a go at Anderson down the inside. Very late move for Kupok, but I think he's going to get it done. That's a great move from the German driver. And meanwhile Byrne behind, looking to gain some positions and try and get himself back into the points. I mean, he's now actually ahead, of course, of Patel, but he still had a big fall in this race. And so we're looking now at Byrne behind Anderson in the Aston Martin, as actually there is the Williams that's coming into the pits there. And so now Byrne has a good chance to get past Anderson. Coming down at the front straight, he's got a good run in the slipstream on the Aston Martin as they head towards the first corner, and Byrne is going to go past him, and oh no, and well, that just sums it up, doesn't it? Rahul Patel is out of the race, and it looks to be, I mean, I don't know if that's a mechanical failure or a crash. It's an unusual place to retire. I mean, you don't see many mistakes being made there, but we're going to find out if it was a mechanical failure or not. And it was, in fact, a transmission failure, so it was a mechanical failure for Patel just after he had pitted as well. So, yeah, very unfortunate for Patel. It's just not been his day, and of course he was down to 16th, and then he made a slight mistake there anyway, and then of course his car just completely self-combusted, and yep, that is his race over. So Patel out of this race, and still he'll have the he'll forever have the record of being the first driver to get pole in the fantasy era, and it still shows that Lamborghini does have pace, because I mean Chung is doing a good job, so it's not all bad, I suppose, for a Lamborghini. Meanwhile, this is the Mercedes of, I think this is Armar Kar, trying to get past Chatfield into the first corner, and he does. Goes up into fourth position. Roku actually, by the way, has not caught up actually with Jesus Perronin. Perronin, who himself is just about a pit stop ahead, or Perronin, I should say, is a pit stop behind Gabber at the moment. It's about 28 seconds, I'd say, about the time. And meanwhile, we're looking at Evan Byrne, who's behind David Kupok, who's having a solid race actually in the AlphaTauri. He's always been hanging around the outside of the points, just inside. And he's having a good race. I mean, you see the AlphaTauri has been pretty poor so far in testing. It's not been very good at all. But Byrne is going to zoom past Kupok, clearly the faster car, past the AlphaTauri there, heading up towards the first corner. And so now Byrne takes 10th place away from David Kupok. And so now we're looking at Chris Chatfield coming in for his second stop. He'll of course make one more before the end, because he's going to be on the 3 strategy, which I think is actually a great strategy, to be honest, particularly in these conditions. I mean, the sky does look to be brightening up, and so Chatfield now coming out of the pits, and we're going to see where he comes out onto the circuit. So he's going to come out, looks like, behind the Mercedes of Lopez, and he's going to come out ahead of Laura Chung, which could be important because Chung, again, herself has had a very good recovery in this race. And so we're looking through the field. Here is Chatfield actually now already on the back of Lopez, going to try to take the position, and oh, what a move that is by Chatfield. There's the old switcheroo there, and I caught Lopez unawares. Lopez thought he had him covered off, but see, Lopez moved to right, then moved back in, thinking Chatfield wouldn't go for it, but he did, and Chatfield making a move on the inside. Meanwhile, we're looking at Daniel Fraser, who I haven't seen at all in this race. We've seen now, and that is unfortunate because his car has broken down, and he is going to retire from this race. That's another retirement, and unfortunately that means a double retirement from Haas as well, so not the start to the season that they would have wanted. You can see Fraser going into the wall there. So his race is over. And yeah, again, I never actually saw him at all in this race, Fraser. I don't even know what he did. But anyway, Ricky Garrett at the moment having a time up front, although Kupok was a little bit wide there as he was being lapped by the Italian, and could have gone horribly wrong there, and it nearly did, but he went on the grass and the curve got a little bit out of shape. Unfortunately, no harm done. And meanwhile, looking at Julius Anderson, who is, oh my word, a huge accident. He's just careered into the back of the Alfa Romeo there, and I think he's taken him out, and I think he's taken Kupok out as well. And I don't know what on earth Anderson was doing there, just went right into the back of the Alfa Romeo of Federi there, and into the back of David Kupok, and yes, Kupok is out, so 3 for the price of 1. So unfortunately for Kupok, that little error, which I suppose caught him out unawares, and unfortunately he's now been taken out by something that's not his fault. And Julius Anderson has received a 10 place grid penalty, of course, in the incident with Kupok and Federi, which I think is fair enough. So not a good start to the season for Anderson, but that was a spectacular crash, you have to say. Meanwhile, this is the Ferrari of Jake Galloway, who is going past the Mercedes of Lopez in towards the first corner. That is a move for P6. And now we're looking at Lopez, who is coming into the pits for his second stop, and actually so is, although actually he's still got plenty of fuel left, so I think it is a compound change. Could it be the change for the Inters? I don't know, but let's find out. So Lopez comes in. Will he be changing the Inters? The answer is no, it's not. It is not a change to the Inters. Meanwhile, Willows is in, and he actually was going to go on for longer. So I wonder if will he go to the end or not, is the answer. And 10:23, and actually that is actually not enough fuel for Willows to go to the end. So he is going to have to pit late on, Willows. So might be a little bit frustrated the way the team has done it there. There's, oh, Franco Gamba getting in a little bit too close for comfort there with the Alfa Torres. He was trying to lap him, but he goes around Migros Gal, who by the way is still racing. I hadn't heard his name at all either, but he is still racing. Meanwhile, we're looking at Williams, who's just come out in front of Jamie Griffiths there. That is in 11th, but as I said, Williams will have to pit one more time before the end. As meanwhile, Jesus Peronin has come in for his second stop of the race, and again he had plenty of fuel left to go, and he also does not have enough fuel to go to the end. So interesting strategies here. Car is in, and I couldn't quite catch how much fuel he had. If he could go, I think, and yet the answer is he still had plenty of fuel left to go. So looks like lots of compound changes here in the Grand Prix. Rook's still going around, so I wonder if he is going to try and just keep on going until his stop. I'm not sure, but car comes in, and does he go to the end? And the answer is no. So it looks like a lot of drivers are going to pit again before the end. I think these tyres must be wearing out quite badly, and so Meanwhile Byrne has actually now been lapped by Frank Gao, who himself is also coming into the pits, and he still had plenty of fuel left in his car. So yeah, lots of compound changes here. So it's spicing it up a little bit. So, and mostly drivers are not going to the end. So which drivers maybe when they do pit in the next few laps are going to try and go to the end to maybe try and see what positions they can gain. But of course, the problem is fresh tyres in wet conditions are more important than, I suppose, in the dry per se, because they wear out a lot more and you could be very far off the pace. But Gamba, does he go to the end? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he'll be making one more stop. So lots of drivers going to be making a another stop before the end of this race. Meanwhile, this is Laura Chung, who's on the back of Evan Byrne. This is for 8th position, and Chung going to go for the inside. Surely she's going to do 2 for 1, and she has. Incredible, what a move. And actually, oh well, I suppose it was 2 for 1, but the other driver was Big Lascaux, who was a lap down, but still nonetheless 2 for 1 in the space of a corner. That was a great move, a very ballsy move from Laura Chung, and she made that move for for another points position. Meanwhile, looking at George Rook, who is now coming into the pits, and he still had probably another couple of laps to go, and maybe he could have tried to go a little bit longer, but obviously the tyres couldn't quite hack it. So Roke now comes in, and he'll change all 4 tyres. And the interesting thing is he is going to go to the end. So let's see if that pays off for Roke or not, because a lot of the drivers around him are not going to the end and pitting once more, but they are going to have fresher tyres. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting indeed. So Roke, one of the few drivers that is going to go to the end at this point. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but we shall wait and see. So meanwhile, Carr, who is going to be pitting once more before the end as well. So looking at Byrne, who at the moment is actually still recovered back into the points. He's still in 8th position right now. Jake Galloway, meanwhile, going to be pitting for Ferrari. Again, there's still lots of fuel left, so not a scheduled stop. So we are going to see, well, of course he is going to be pit once more, but how far is he going to go? And I mean, so far no one's gone onto the Inter tyres yet. So yeah, clearly it's not quite dry enough for Inters, you could say. But Galloway is in, tyres changed. Does he go to the end? The answer is actually yes, he does. He actually does decide to the end. It's the same thing as Roke, and he's going to go to the end. So he is trying the same strategy as Roke. As meanwhile, the other Renault, I think that was a Bird, is just coming into the pits as well. Galloway is coming out of the pits. Willow's now to 8th, but he's got under pressure from Quag behind. So Quag is going to make a move on the inside, is he? And yes, Quag does pass Willows for 8th position there. And meanwhile, Frank Gabba is right in the thick of this, and he needs to lap these guys quickly. And he's now going to go past Willows on the outside there. Sorry, and is he going to go for it on the inside of Quag? The answer is no. But he's going to go past Quag in the next few corners, you would imagine, because Quag needs to get out of the way. So I was looking at Moichi is going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Perrodin still doing a great job at the moment in 2nd position. Let's not forget, his first ever top tier OC race. He's doing a fantastic job. And meanwhile, this is Willows, who's now on the inside of Quag. This is for 8th, and Willows does go past Quag. So good move there. And meanwhile, they've got the Ferrari behind of Jake Galloway, who of course has just made his final stop of the race. And so now he's going to try to make a move on Quag, although Quag tried to get back at Willows. They're all going at each other here. Meanwhile, looking at Galloway now on the inside of Quag, or looking to make a move on the inside of Quag, heading up towards the first corner. And can he do it? He doesn't quite appear to have the straight line speed, but Galloway's going to go for it nonetheless. It's a late move, but he does make it up the inside and make it up into 9th position. But again, Galloway is one of the few drivers who is not going to pit before the end, and I don't know if that is going to work out for him or not. I don't believe it will, because lots of the drivers. Oh, and Evan Bird. Well, Evan Bird is one of them who is not going to make it to the end, and who was going to the end, but his car's broken down, and it is a water leak for Evan Bird. And unfortunately for him, a front row star, and it, like Patel, it kind of all derailed. And yeah, he's not going to be getting anything from this race, so that is his race done and dusted here at the Australian Grand Prix. So, as yeah, his car is going to be pushed away, a water leak, and the blue flag's coming out. So yeah, again, just not Burns' race, but it's only the first one. But again, Renault also showing encouraging pace, you could say. Meanwhile, Roman Quag is in the pits for his final stop for Alfa Romeo, and Quag himself has actually had a good race. I mean, Alfa Romeo have not been particularly quick either. So yeah, I think Alfa Romeo, if they get points at this race, that would be very good for them. But anyway, Chatfield is in for his final stop. Griffiths is in as well. So these are the guys that are all starting to pit now, and will be going to the end, you would imagine. And is that 17? Yeah, that's enough. So Roke now temporarily up into 3rd place. Perronin is just about a pit stop ahead, but Amar Carr is right behind Roke here. And of course, Carr is pitting before the end, so Roke doesn't necessarily need to worry about him. But I think it would be best if Roke did try and keep him behind, you would say. But this is a battle for 3rd, on the circuit. So I think Roke can forget about getting, well, so he can certainly forget about getting first. And I think second, because I think Perrin has got that in the bag. But meanwhile, Willows defending hard from Jake Galloway there for 8th position. Galloway trying to make it through, but he can't quite do it. Willows himself again is one of the drivers who he's going to be pitting once more. Chung is just coming to the pits as well. Several drivers are going to be coming in over the next few laps, and they're going to be very quick towards the end. And so I just wonder, particularly for Roke and for Galloway as well, will they be able to hack it? Will they be able to keep up their pace for the rest of the race? Is going to be the big question. Meanwhile, this is Chatfield, who is going past Amar Kar for 4th position, and yep, this is a good move from the Brit. The two Brits battling each other, but Chatfield having a great race here in the OC. Now moves back up into P4. Now he will go after George Roke in front of him, and by the way, these guys actually could be lapped by Gabba soon. Meanwhile, Chatfield already gone past Roke, coming on the front straight there. So Chatfield in very quick indeed. And meanwhile, Griffiths is going past Carr. He's trying to unlap himself here, and he's just pitted a couple of laps ago. So the fresh tyres are really paying dividends here for some of these drivers. Now this is Galloway who's attempting to go past Willows. This is for P8. And Galloway now trying to make a move on the inside of Willows. Is he going to make it stick? And the answer is yes, he does. He moves up to 8th. He moves up to 8th position. Meanwhile, Jesus Perrin is now in for his final stop of the race, and we should see actually if he's still ahead of Chris Chatfield or not, because he was just about a pit stop ahead. Meanwhile, Amar Kar, who is trying to, who's going to be pitting this lap, and oh, he goes into the Williams, who goes into Roke in front of him, and I think Carr might gain the position here, which he does. And very controversially, Carr does move up into P4, and now he laps the Williams of Jamie Griffiths there. Roke is not going to be happy with that at all, but that is very interesting tactics there from Amar Kar. But he has done what he needs to do and has got past Roke. And I mean, I don't think Roke has not got any pace at this moment in time, so of course Roke will go back ahead of Carr. But Carr with fresh tyres, and with only 7 laps to go, I wonder if Carr could even catch Roke before the end. And I'm just very interested to see. Meanwhile, this is Romain Quark, who's going to go past Willows on the front straight. That is for P9. Willows himself actually is going to be pitting. Well, he's got 6 laps, but no, he actually pitched this lap, so Willows will pit at the end of this lap. And of course, he was one of the drivers that didn't make it to the end, so can he still get points from this race? Meanwhile, this is Jamie Griffiths, who's trying to go past Renan Moitian for 11th on the fresh tyres. As he goes on the inside and he makes it up into 11th. He's quite far off of Joseph Willis, although actually speaking of Joseph Willis, he has come out of the pits on the intermediate tyres. Now that is fascinating. With just 5 laps to go, Willows going for it. I mean, it's a gamble because he's not that far ahead of Griffiths. I mean, if the tyres don't warm up, then he could lose positions. And speaking of losing positions, Jake Galloway has just lost one to Romain Quark, who moves up into 8th position, heading up towards the first corner. So I'll be interested to see what Willows' pace is like, if he can stay ahead of Jamie Griffiths on the intermediate tyres. Meanwhile, this is George Roke, who's still going around, but Carr has caught him up. He's been lapped by Gamba now, and Carr on the fresher tyres has already caught him up, as I actually kind of thought he would. And Carr on the inside, does he make a stick? And the answer is yes. Carr moves up into 4th place. Roke has got absolutely nothing left, as Gao now unlaps himself. Roke has got absolutely no tyres left whatsoever. And unfortunately, the strategy for Red Bull for Roke has not worked out well at all. And for all the drivers that pitted once more before the end, it has worked very well for them, but for Franco Gamba especially, what a dominant performance from him. Took the lead from Roke at the end of lap 6 and never looked back, and Roke unfortunately just disintegrated his tyres very badly, and well, Gamba did the opposite. And look at the gap as well, he's nearly a minute ahead of Jesus Perrin, and it has been a totally and utterly dominant performance from Franco Gamba. He's set to take also his 2nd win in the last 3 seasons at Albert Park. This is one of his best tracks, and he's set to take another victory here at Albert Park. And yeah, so he just needs to get to the line first, of course. But of course, it was a surprise pole position, of course, a surprising front row with Rahul Patel first, Everbird second, both retired with mechanical failures and had, I think, just struggled in these conditions. But Red Bull showing themselves why they are more than likely the fastest car on the circuit. So Gamba is going to be second, Perrin is second at the moment. Chris Chatfield as well, on for his first podium in the OC. Narrowly missed out last season, but he looks set to get it as long as he can get to the finish line. Franco Gamba coming around the final couple of corners for the 58th and final time. He now comes around the final corner And the fantasy era starts with a bang, and Frank Agama is going to win the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park, and he wins the race. And what a race it was, in 1 hour and 35 minutes. Then our car, a good result for him actually. In the end, managed to take 4th position. Miklos Cal 14th. I mean, I still can't believe he was even still racing. I didn't even see him at all. Roland Moitian set to come across the line in P12 for Aston Martin, and here we go. Across the line, a pretty anonymous race for him. So George Oak will come across the line in 5th, but his tyres are totally and utterly shot. And look at that, Laura Chung, what a recovery from her. 6th, another lap of this race, and Chung would have overtaken Roke for sure, because Roke would have had absolutely nothing left at all. Sontag in P13, I suppose actually he was involved in the first lap. He went to the back, I think, of the AlphaTauri of, I think it was Gal, and so that's why he's that far down. So he was quite far down the order. But I think behind him is the Renault of Jesus Perrodin in his first OC race. Is set to take his first ever podium, and what a performance on Jesus Perrodin. Not a fluke how he dominated in the BTCC and done well in F2, and he is going to take 2nd position and a podium on his first race in the OC. I mean, Franco Lopez will come across the line and finish in 7th place. And yeah, Chris Chatfield, his first ever podium. Chris Chatfield, well done. It has finally happened for him, and a very deserved performance as well. He raced very well, and he really deserved that. Willows does in the end finish in P9 actually, so he managed to get past Galloway before the end. So the Indices did work for him in the end, Willows, so at least he does get 2 points on the board. Galloway unfortunately will only get 1, and Jamie Griffiths will narrowly miss out on the points in 11th for Williams. Had a pretty solid race though actually. Will be probably a little bit gutted because he was running in the points earlier on to just miss out on getting points, but still plenty more races to come. Here are the full race results. So Frank Campbell winning ahead of Jesus Perrodin in the 2nd, Chris Chapman 3rd, only 3 cars on the lead lap, with Armor Car 4th, George Roke 5th, Laura Chung 6th, Frank Lovis 7th, Roman Cog 8th, Joseph Williams 9th, and Jake Galloway in 10th, completing the points, with Jamie Griffiths in 11th, and Frank Campbell getting that extra point for fastest lap. And so now we're going to look at the rest of the order. Roland Moitian 12th, Felix Sontag 30th, and Miklos Cal 3 laps down in 14th position, with the following drivers not finishing this race: Evan Byrne, Andrea Federi, David Kupok, Julius Anderson, Daniel Fraser, Rahul Patel, Emilio Wilson, and Kirosima De Rosa. So, and now of course take a look at the drivers and constructors standings after Australia, and here we go. So Gamma of course leading ahead of Perrodin by 8 points, with Chatfield 3rd, Carr, Roke, Chung, Lopez, Quag, Willows, and Galloway completing the rest of the top 10, with Griffiths 11th, and of course the rest of the order will be exactly the same. But yeah, some very good performances in there. I mean, Chung had a great recovery. Quag in the Alfa Romeo getting 8th is very good. Chatford on the podium, and Jesus Perrodin, a lot of good performances. Of course, here is the rest of the order: Moitian, Sontag, and Gal, of course, the ones who finished, and then of course Byrne, Federi, Kupok, Anderson, Fraser, Patel, Wilson, and De Rosa, of course, not classified because of course they have not yet finished a race, but of course it's only the very first one. So now taking a look at the constructors, Red Bull currently leading by 18 points ahead of Renault in 2nd, Mercedes 3rd, tied on the same points, Ferrari in 4th, Lamborghini 5th, Alfa Romeo 6th, McLaren 7th, Williams 8th, Aston Martin 9th, Alfa Romeo 10th, and Haas last, and of course neither driver finished this race. So yeah, there we go. That was the Australian Grand Prix, and of course Jesus Perrodin voted driver of the day, no surprise there. So there we are. That's the first race of the fantasy era over, and it was pretty exciting to say the least. The next round, of course, will be the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai, which will be in a couple of weeks' time as we're having a break, because the host, Yuri, wanted to have a break. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you for the next round, the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai. Hope you enjoyed this first race, and we will see you for the next round in China. Goodbye.